Greetings, fan, greetings, and welcome to another show. Today, we're going to discuss the World Test Championship Finals. Australia, they have done it before. They have been World Test Championship winners before. They have won World Cups. They have won T20 World Cups. South Africa have not won anything. Tomorrow at 6 a.m. Eastern Time at Lords in England, they will have a chance to right the wrongs and to brush those demons off, so to speak. Samir, how's it going?
Great, great, Roger. I'm very excited about this World Test Championship final. Australia versus South Africa.
Big
What
one.
a matchup. That is a matchup of titans. Remember, on the one side you got Australia, they got all the accolades, and on the other side you got South Africa, who has none. They are going to be yearning to win this. This is going to be the big one right here.
Before we even get into the actual cricket, Samir, some of the sort of news floating around this series. Kagisa Rabada, obviously, he was banned quietly, left the IPL. We were told it was personal reasons, and then it made the news that he was actually serving a suspension for the use of cocaine. Quite a shocking
Unbelievable.
scenario there.
Unbelievable that nobody heard about this.
Yeah,
I guess, hey, listen, Rabada's not as bad of a guy as you think he is. That's why he got a break.
yeah, yeah. Certainly,
If this was a Pakistani pacer, just imagine the news cycle.
no, that is absolutely true. So, how do you see this one going down, Samir? Obviously, both teams have played for the better part of 2 years. A lot of people will say South Africa has not necessarily, they're not necessarily battle tested. Listen, based on the way the point system works, Samir, they have not played against the top teams in the world. That is
Yes.
true, but they have accumulated enough points to get to this final. Are they
And
deserving finalists, Samir?
whoever they've played, they've beaten. They've
Mm,
won all their test matches, right? Pretty much. So, hey, listen, it's just the draw that they have. Australia has also won pretty much every test that they've played in the recent past, right?
they
So
didn't beat
this,
West Indies.
huh?
They
Yeah,
did
but
not beat the
but
West
one thing
Indies.
is the last five, pretty much, Australia's won every one of those. They lost one to India,
Mhm.
remember, and then they went to Sri Lanka, and I think they won both their games there too, right? So my feeling, I think this is a very, very good matchup. Um, Australia go in as favorites as usual. Australia always goes in as favorites when they're playing a final, right? But at the same time, I think the South African team is a very, very good squad, and I
I'm
think
gonna
they're out to prove everybody wrong.
I'm gonna say something to you. The last, yes, we're thinking that Australia, they're the favorites because Australia, obviously, championship DNA. We've spoken about this before. But the last five matches between these two teams, Samir, it's dead even.
Yes.
Last match ended in a draw in January of 23. Then Australia won by an innings and 182 runs. Then Australia won by 7 wickets. South Africa, previous two matches, won by 492 runs and 322 runs. So two split, even two each and a draw. So,
But Roger, they haven't played in the recent 2 years, right? Which
mhm,
is the most important 2 years, right? This
right.
championship cycle. So I think this championship cycle, I think they're playing for the first time, right? My opinion, I think these are two evenly matched squads. Actually, I'm giving a little bit of benefit to South
Mhm.
Africa for being settled. I think Australia, from the batting perspective, is very unsettled this time. So I think that is something that Australia for the first time. Remember, in a final, they're going to be trying a new combination with Labuschagne opening and Green coming in at number three. Now, once again, it's a very, very tough squad that South Africa is going to be facing, because as soon as Green is done, you got Smith, Head, Webster, and Carey. Carey is going to be batting at number seven, and he's been in the form of his lifetime, right? And then on top of it, Australian bowling is very settled. You have Pat Cummins, you have Mitchell Stark, you have Nathan Lyon, and you got Josh Hazelwood. Hazelwood just won the IPL literally for RCB, right? So we have a very, very good Australian squad against a settled South African squad. Once again, South Africa, under the captaincy of Bavuma, has done extremely well. And they have a couple of young players in Stubbs and Bedingham, who I think are going to be right there performing against Australia.
Sam Concess, we saw him make his debut against India, and he was reverse scooping. He was playing all types of shots to Jasprit Bumrah. Now he's been told that we think you're the future, but you're going to wait a little bit. Marnus Labuschagne is under tremendous pressure. He's been given an ultimatum, Samir. He's been told, you open or you don't play. Is that fair to Marnus Labuschagne? He's not had a good time of it recently. I think in his last he's played 57 tests, over 4,000 runs. Obviously still has a pretty healthy overall average, but he's been woeful in the last couple of years. Is it fair to Marnus Labuschagne to force him to open the batting?
Hey, listen, there's no other spot left for him but to open, right? That's the real problem. If you look at it, he could come one down, but who's going to open then? You can't have Cameron Green open, right? And then remember, Steve Smith at 4, Travis Head at 5, Webster at 6, and Alex Curry at 7. There is no space for Marnus there. He can come one down, but then you have Green as opener. Now, the question is Green going to be a better opener or is Marnus going to be a better opener? I think Marnus is going to be a better opener, right? And remember the conditions, right? I don't think that Australia has given him an ultimatum for the finals. I think he's also going to be probably opening in the West Indies. And
You
if
think
he
so?
is, do you think that this is the way it's going to go going forward? I think he's going to be very successful. I do believe he's a very, very good player. Once
Mm.
again, listen, South Africa has a good bowling lineup, right? Rabada, Nagidi, Jansen, all of these guys are a handful, right? Right at the open with the red ball swinging, you know that it's going to be a great contest tomorrow morning. I want to correct one thing, Roger. The game's going to start at 5:30 in the morning,
Oh, it's 5:30.
East Coast
Okay.
time.
Not
So
6
hey,
a.m.
listen, I'll be up and about. I'm going to be watching this at least first couple of hours of this test match. I'm going to be watching it.
So, who, in your opinion, the Australians are very keen on Cam Green. He's not able to bowl as
Yes,
yet, so he's
yes.
going to be played as a batsman. Is he a good enough number for you, Samir?
I think so. Hey, listen,
Yeah.
once again, Australians don't make mistakes like this, right? This is not, West Indies or Pakistan who's going to make a mistake with a player like this.
Mm.
Australians know exactly what they're doing. And in the modern cricket era, okay, Green at number 3 is going to be a handful, especially if he starts hitting it out of the middle of the bat. If he
Mhm.
starts doing that, watch out. South Africa could be in trouble.
Yeah. Otherwise, very settled team there. Bo Webster did very well in his last few games, so he gets another opportunity, right? After performing for years in shell cricket in Australia, so he gets to go. Alex Carey and the bowlers. Now, I thought there would have been a bit of a toss up between Josh Hazelwood and our good friend Scotty Boland, who's been a revelation every time he's played cricket, but
Listen, I don't know what Boland needs to do to get into this 11, right? That's what it is. Hey, listen, I personally, to be honest, I would have played Boland and probably, not played Webster, but Australia's big on Webster now, right? That's what it
Mhm.
is. And that's why poor Boland can't get a shot, right? I don't think that there's any question that Hazelwood is playing this game, right? He's fit. He's been bowling very well. He's playing this game, right?
Mhm.
But if he wasn't playing this game, that Boland would absolutely be my choice. But then once again, listen, Boland's the reason why Australia won that series against India 3-1, right?
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure.
So my feeling now is Australia is going to have a three-man attack. They're going to have Nathan Lyon, which obviously Nathan Lyon isn't as useful in the first innings as he is in the second innings of this game, right? And then Bo Webster is going to be balling a little bit too, along with maybe Travis Head balling a couple of spin overs because remember Cameron Green can't ball.
How do you see the South African team going into this? Their 11 obviously has already been named. It's going to be Aiden
Yes,
Markram,
yes.
Ryan Rickleton,
Hmm.
Wian Mulder, Bafuma, Tristan Stubbs, Bedingham, Kyle Vereni, Jansen, Keshav Maharaj, Rabada, and Ngidi. Pretty potent
Very
line
important.
there as well,
Very
Samir.
important, Roger. I think, look, once again, Aiden Markham's done very well for South Africa, but I would
Mhm.
have loved to see him in the middle order. But with the upcoming, players like Stubbs and Bedingham, I think Aiden Markham is in a similar situation to Marnus, where he has to open for South Africa, right? Because there's no spot for him in the middle order. But then also, hey, listen, you got Ryan Rickleton, who's an amazing player. I think this kid Mulder is a very, very good batsman, and
Mhm.
that's what it is. And then Bavuma, hey,
I think
listen,
he's a
once
bit
again,
underrated as well, Samir.
very underrated, and
Yeah.
that's the reason why South Africa is going to do very well. Because listen, obviously we talk about Markham and Bavuma and Stubbs and Ryan Rickleton. Obviously, with what they've seen in the IPL, they know that both of those kids are amazing. But nobody mentions Mulder. That's the truth. I lost you there, Roger. I lost you there.
Are you
Yes,
hearing
yes, I
me?
can hear you now. Yeah.
South Africa, they've lost so many players over the years, Samir. You think about Quinton de Kock, you think about Faf du Plessis going early, you think about all of these players. They've lost so many bowlers, Kyle Abbott. And, they just keep finding replacements where it's amazing.
Hey, listen, not only just finding replacements, but successful
Quality.
replacements.
Yeah.
Successful kids, right? That's what it is. I think
Yeah.
their first class system is so strong
Mhm.
that they were able to develop these players. And remember, once again, this kid Mulder is just like Cameron Green. He's also a very good bowler. So remember, South Africa is now going to have a very potent bowling lineup. Their bowling lineup is more settled than their batting lineup, but now they have these extra bowlers. And remember, even Markham is a very effective spinner.
Yeah, this would be a real feather in the cap for Captain Temba Bavuma, who has endured a lot of criticisms, who has been, essentially folks have said that he's a quota pick, but he's done very well in Test cricket of recent, and this would be very very good for Temba Bavuma and South Africa cricket in general if he's able to capture an ICC
Oh yeah,
title.
this is gonna be the feather in his cap, right? That's what it's gonna be. And
Yeah,
then on top of it, if you're able to do this against Australia, remember Australia has been one team that has beaten South Africa on almost every tournament that you can think about. Remember that game in 1999, the World Cup semi-final, where South Africa was winning and then Australia somehow won that game, right? And then multiple occasions where Australia has beaten South Africa. So I think South Africa is going to be very motivated. They've done very well. You got to remember, South Africa has done extremely well against pretty much every team.
hmm prediction, Samir. Who do you reckon is going to take this one?
Hey, listen, my heart wants South Africa, but hey, listen, I never listen to my heart, right? I always, at the end of the day, go with my brain. And my brain is telling me it's Australia again. But I think it's going to be very close. I think this is one of those toss-ups, right? 50.01 goes to Australia, 49.99 South Africa. You cannot count out South Africa in this series.
Yeah, it's going to be a really tight one. I reckon Australia just as well.
Yep, just by a smidge. That's what I feel.
Mhm.
I think, look, once again, Pat Cummins, once again, Captain America, Captain Australia, right? This guy never loses. But I think not only that, once again, we haven't mentioned, Usman Khwaja, who's at the tail end of his career, but in extremely good form, right? Once again, he it was a testing time for him against the Indian seamers. I don't think the South African seamers are as potent as the Indian seamers, but they're definitely a close second.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys, there you have it. World Test Championship begins tomorrow at Lords, 5:30 Eastern. We'll be back after the final day to give a recap. And hey, again, both Samir and I have said Australia are definitely favorites, and we believe they'll probably take it. But hey,
Roger,
maybe there's a
Australia
miracle
by a smidge,
by
just
a
a smidge.
smidge.
Mhm.
Uh,
Take
as
care.
Ian Smith would say, by the barest of margins. Let's see what
Absolutely.
happens.
He's the right guy to say it.
All right, guys. See you soon.
Take care.